Welcome back, Cleveland County. We're here for the August showing of Cleveland County Kitchen. My name is Deborah Blanton. I'm hosting the show, and I'm here this morning with Raul Ibarra.
Yes.
And he is farming a lot of area here with very many different vegetables, but we're focusing on okra. Tell us a little bit about how farming is with okra and all this dry weather we're having.
Well, really, that's pretty hard because you have to put a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if okra, it's like this. They grow, they like it hot weather,
right?
But you have to let some water, and you will pick them every day.
Oh, so they're getting enough moisture, so you have a product every day.
Every day, every day. But you just have to let some water.
And one other interesting thing about this purple okra, if I'm correct, is that it is not as slimy.
Got it. You got it right.
When you cut it, it's not ooshing all the juice in there.
Right, yes.
So it makes it, if people don't like okra for the slimy reason, it'll be good.
That's right, You're right, yes.
And so you've been farming how long, Raul?
Well, I've been farming at least 20 years from now, 20 years.
And then we're here at Two Wives Vineyard,
right?
Which you're using some of their space for your vegetables.
Yes.
And will you be selling some of your vegetables from the Two Wives Vineyard shop as well?
Yes.
And this vineyard and the shed to sell the vegetables is up Highway 18. On above Bellwood, almost into, is it Catawba County? It's close to it, all the way up, almost, to the, almost up to Highway 10, where it splits off.
Sure.
I think, and we have some lovely pictures of the okra. Now, okra grows until frost.
Right.
Produces until frost.
Right, you're right.
If you give it enough water, and maybe we'll get some rain later on in the season.
Right.
But I guess it could be 10, 12 feet tall.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So it's an amazing plant. And what I love about the new varieties are that they're not sticky and they don't irritate your skin when you pick them.
You're right. Yes.
Well, Raul, I want to thank you.
Well, thank you
for the interview, and we love your okra.
Thank you.
Remember Farmers Market or up Highway 18.
Right. Yes.
Stay tuned, Cleveland County. We'll be in the studio talking with Nancy Abasi-Akong about the nutritional value of our wonderful okra.
Hi, I'm Linda Hopper, and I'm excited about an upcoming new show called Woman to Woman right here on C19 TV. Each month, my guest and I would chat about issues relating to women in general, but with a special focus on women right here in Cleveland County. Our topics will range from serious issues such as domestic violence and workplace challenges to fun topics such as fashion and healthy lifestyles and much, much more. So please join me as we discuss the issues, interests, and inspiration of women everywhere on Woman to Woman, right here on C19 TV.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how, visit the partnership at drugfree.org.
Welcome back, Cleveland County. We're in the studio today with Nancy Abasi-Akong. Remember, she's in charge of the Family and Consumer Sciences section of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Department. And we're talking about okra, which is really plentiful this year, although we've had a drought problem. So it's not as productive as we would like it to be. But we're here to talk about okra and all the good things about it, Nancy.
Okay. Yes, Deborah, it's good to be back and talking about one of the true Southern favorites.
Exactly.
People seem to either really like okra or they don't like it so well. But it is, of course, a warm weather crop that we look forward to, people who like it look forward to eating it fresh during the summer. It's nutritious, and we're fortunate that it has been plentiful this summer.
Right. Well, and you say some people like it and some people don't. What would be the reason people wouldn't like okra?
Sometimes it has to do with the texture of okra, particularly the quote, sliminess, that sometimes okra has a substance similar to the aloe plant. So we're accustomed to what that looks like if you break an aloe plant.
Yes.
Well, okra has a similar mucilage type substance in it.
Okay.
But a key is selecting young pods of okra, maybe salting later in the process of when you're cooking it.
Okay.
You can combine it with other ingredients such as tomatoes or corn and so forth.
Okay.
Although we traditionally and most often eat it here in the South as fried okra.
Yes.
Or in gumbo. And of course with the gumbo you would have more of that sliminess
texture.
and that, but it's a thickener. It can be used as a thickener.
Well, I know it as fried, and of course you would take the pod and cut it up. And then, do you salt it before or after you cut it up?
Well, you can do some. You can lightly salt it, or put salt and pepper and other seasonings in your flour if you're going to use cornmeal or flour in breading your okra.
Okay.
You can also roast okra.
Oh.
And with that,
on the grill?
On the grill or in the oven. You can do it in the oven.
Yes.
Like a 425 oven, so a fairly hot oven. You can slice it up. Wash your okra when you're ready to use it. Dry the pods. And then slice either in half-inch to an inch thick pieces.
Okay.
Or you can slice it lengthwise.
Oh.
And eat it, more like a French fry.
Yes.
Look,
well,
of
what
that type.
Fun. Oh,
So,
good.
and of course, if you're going to roast, you will, like always, lay out your vegetable. Put it in a bowl and use a small amount of an olive oil or other vegetable oil.
Okay.
And then lay it in a single layer. And I like to, on a cookie sheet or a baking sheet, maybe line that with foil or parchment paper or something like that, which just makes your cleanup easier.
Okay.
And it keeps it from sticking.
Right.
So you can use your vegetable oil or a light spray of vegetable oil as well.
Okay.
And in a single layer, then put it in your hot oven, and you can season lightly at that point, or as you'll stir maybe about halfway through your cooking, 20 to 25 minutes,
All right, that's
depending.
good. That's
depending
good.
on how thick you've sliced it,
Right.
and of course your oven temperature.
All right. Now, in selecting okra, what do we need to look for?
In selecting okra, you want to select small, young, tender pods that are nice, bright green.
Okay.
Sometimes and buy okra that's loose where you can make your selection instead of prepackaged when possible.
Oh, of course, yes.
So whether that's at the grocery store or at the farmer's market, wherever, if you can select your pods. And we're going to show, if you can just in your mind, and you don't have to take your ruler with you, but before you go, take a look at what a 2 to 3 inch length of okra looks like, because that's the ideal harvesting size.
Okay.
So that's our ideal size. When it gets much larger than that or much longer, you tend to get the tough, fibrous okra pods, and they're not tender, they don't taste good, and sometimes they're even hard to cut.
Right.
So looking for the young pods of okra.
So we purchase our okra from the farmer's market, and then we bring them home, and then what's the preservation until we get ready to cook it?
Okay, okra is perishable, as we've talked about, all vegetables and fruits are. So you'll store them in the refrigerator, loosely in a plastic vegetable bag, just loosely in the bag, in the refrigerator, unwashed,
Ah, that's important.
You're right,
Yes,
unwashed,
yes.
because of course we've talked before about moisture and the problem there that can occur with mold and so forth if you
Certainly.
get too much moisture. Then use the okra, plan to use your okra within 2 to 3 days.
Oh, okay.
2 to 3 days. Or
To
for
keep the
longer.
freshness
to keep it fresh,
and the
to
fresh
keep it
taste.
from having the black or dark brown over mature spots
Yes.
that you sometimes see
Exactly.
again when you're in the store, and if your okra has turned soft or gotten brown, discard it.
So, and I know there are recipes, Nancy, and if you would like to talk about our web page and all the good things on our page.
Yes, at clevelandcountykitchen.org you will again have a fact sheet for okra, and you can do there'll be some recipes for combination things like okra, corn, and tomatoes, or you can do just, again, sauteed okra, steamed okra, roasted. We'll have a recipe, and the University of Arkansas had a recipe for okra used with pasta, which was very interesting.
Oh, yes.
So they have a recipe where you cook the okra separately in your pasta and add it to tomato sauce.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
we'll
sounds
have some
good.
different things for you to take a look at.
Woo-hoo. Well, Cleveland County, there you go. It's a current vegetable. We're growing it right now. It's at the farmer's market. It sounds like it's fun to work with and so nutritious, and that should be our top priority, is that it's good for us. Well, thanks again. Stay tuned for our cooking, and we'll be cooking okra in the Cleveland County Cooperative Extension's kitchen.
I feel like learning how to speak Spanish is a great thing because I have lost several customers because of my inability to speak Spanish. And that started a couple of years ago. And since then, I've tried to learn little pieces and phrases so that I can communicate with them. Even if you can only say 1 or 2 words to a customer, their face lights up when you have some kind of connection with them.
Well, when we started in January of 2004, I don't think any of us thought it would last 11 years. I think what's made it last is the difference in personalities. People have to learn something that they don't necessarily read in a local paper, especially about local politics. And to some degree, it has to be entertaining. I think that's probably what Dean and I have done the most of, is help make it entertaining from time to time. You know, I think the really good thing that's made it fun for me is getting to know people with different political views.
Welcome back, Cleveland County. We're in the Cooperative Extension kitchen today with Janet Biani, who is the chef at the Patrick Senior Center in Kings Mountain. And they will be having a lunch every day, of which you'll be the chef.
Right, at this moment I'm serving on Fridays. We're hoping by next year we will be preparing a hot meal every day of the week.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's our goal.
And this is a plug for the Senior Center. Can anybody come in and eat?
At this point, any Cleveland County resident, and they must be 55 years old or older.
Oh, okay. And I'm sure there's a fee.
It's $2. And we like to prepare a meal that's a meat, 2 vegetables, a bread, a dessert, and your drink for the $2. So
for $2.
You can't get that meal anywhere else in Cleveland County.
And you will now see this chef in action. So we're cooking okra today, Janet.
Wonderful.
Good.
Wonderful.
So
Very
if you
excited
want
about it, Deborah.
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to tell you a few things about okra. There's a lot of myths and different information, but I have found this to be true. When you're going to fry your okra, it's really better if you get the soft. You want to fill it. If it's soft, it's got less fiber in it because you're going to do a quick cook when you're frying. So you'd like that. If you do happen to get some okra that has more fibers in it, that's going to be good for your stew because it's going to cook longer and it's going to break those fibers down. Also, a little tip, if you're going to use the one with the fiber, cut it thin because the thinner it is, the easier it's going to be to break down. It's going to be softer. So there's different techniques for cutting. What I like to do is I don't like to use a tip. Some people use a tip. That's a personal preference. Most people that I've met cut the okra in little rounds, which is fine. You also, if you want to get a little fancier, you can do on a diagonal. I like to do that. It gives you a better space, especially when you're frying it. That gives you more surface to fry. So you're going to cut your okra. And Deborah, are we going to do the frying first, or would you like to start? We could start the stew and let it be cooking and then we'll do the frying second. So I'm going to finish up my okra. Just take a few. It's really quick. Always protect your fingers. Keep them out of the way. Fingers are not good in okra.
I'm sure not.
They may flavor it a bit, but. All right. I've got 3 more pods I'm going to put in here. Yes, Deborah, you can take that stem off for me. I really appreciate that. I don't think that would be too tasty either.
Oh, no, there's another one.
And you can just line your okra up and dice away.
Oh, I love your diagonal.
I think it looks nice, especially, like I said, when you're frying it, it makes a nice shape. All right, we'll get those stems out of the way.
Right.
And we'll add this to our pile. And what we're going to do for our stewed okra, I've seen this recipe before. What I like to do is look at other people's recipes and kind of modify them to suit myself. So what I'm going to do is put a little olive oil in. I'm going to heat my pan up to about medium and let it start getting warm. I'm going to put some olive oil in. I like to use olive oil, and I like to use, a lot of people make a mistake when they use olive oil. They use extra virgin. That's for salads. It gives too strong of a flavor to the vegetables. You want to use something light.
Well,
a Classico or light.
That is a great suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I see you don't use very much either.
No, you just need enough to kind of get around the pan. And this is a good pan. If you're going to saute something, you would like to have a cast iron, or this is a stone pan, and it works really well. Once it starts to get warm, I have already diced up my onions and my bell peppers. And I like to do a fine dice on that because it's going to be in a stew. You don't want big hunks of onion and bell pepper. And there's a little surprise in here, too. I put some bacon in.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to add all this into the skillet and let it start to...
And that's raw bacon, isn't it?
It is raw.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm going to put... It's great to get fresh garlic if you can get it, Deborah. But sometimes you go to the store and the garlic's starting to turn. That's really bitter. It doesn't do it. So always keep some minced garlic in your refrigerator.
Okay.
I'm going to do about a half of a teaspoon of that.
Okay.
You got that for me? Thank you. And I'm going to just move these around in the pan, which is not heating up as much as I want it to yet, but it will. Turn it up a little bit. So
new stove, you have to get used to this.
Right. And I'm going to add just a little bit of salt.
Okay.
A little bit of pepper. And we will add salt and pepper as we go, Deborah, because you have to suit it to your own taste.
Certainly.
Some people like more garlic. Some people like more salt, more pepper. So.
And of course, the vegetables too. They may want more onion in there.
True.
So you have about what? 2 tablespoons?
I have about a fourth of a cup of onion, a fourth of a cup of bell pepper, about 2 to 3 strips of bacon finely diced, and about a half a teaspoon of garlic.
Okay.
And I'm just going to let that brown off.
You'll be giving us the recipes as well, correct? So that we can put that out on our website.
Yes, I will be glad to.
Good.
I'll be glad to.
Wonderful.
So it's starting to crisp up a little bit now. It's starting to sizzle. You can get that little popping. We want to get some color on it before we add the tomato and the okra.
Okay.
Starting to smell good too. I have a pitcher here. I'm going to measure out about 2 cups. Add that in. Keeping it on about medium or medium-high heat.
Okay.
Now you're going to add your tomatoes.
And approximately how many tomatoes?
It's going to depend on how much okra you're using. If you're using a pound of okra, I would say maybe 2 tomatoes.
Okay.
So you have to gauge it to how much okra you're going to put in.
Okay, that's
right
good.
now I put in about a cup of tomato, and I'm going to put, you have to decide what balance you want. At least a cup to a cup and a half of okra with the tomato, I would say.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
And to enhance that flavor just a little bit more, we're going to add some. You can use chicken base. I like to use a chicken bouillon, and I like to use a powder. And I say about a tablespoon.
Rather than the cubes, because I'm sure it dissolves faster.
Yes. And
that's a good idea.
Then any flavorings that you like. There's all kinds of flavorings available. There's Mexican-style flavorings. There's Oriental, whatever you like. You can make it more Italian. You can make it more Asian. You can make it more Hispanic. Whatever you like.
Okay.
So I'm going to add just a little. This has garlic and a little coriander, and it gives a good flavor profile.
Okay.
And I'm going to add a little bit more garlic powder and onion powder.
Okay, these. Okay.
And yes, it looks like I'm not measuring. I guess I've done it so much that I know this is about a half a teaspoon of onion powder.
Okay.
And maybe a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And what we're going to do is turn our other pan on, Deborah.
Okay.
And let it start getting hot. We're going to move this to the back burner. We're going to move this up here so we can get ready to fry our okra.
Good.
This will
good.
cook. This needs to cook at least 20 to 30 minutes. And you can check it every once in a while for the tenderness of the okra.
Okay.
And as you check it, you can adjust if you need more salt, more pepper, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay?
All right.
We're good?
We're good. We're good.
All right, I'm going to let this pan really start getting hot. Important thing when you're frying okra, you've got to have a hot pan. And another important thing when you're frying okra, you can't overcrowd your pan. I have seen this happen. Somebody gets in a hurry and they throw all the okra in, and what's going to happen is the okra's going to start to steam, and all the crumbs
fall off.
Are going to fall off, exactly.
So
would you hand me the oil?
Yes, I will.
It would be wonderful to be able to use olive oil, but that you need so much, it's really expensive. So I said good vegetable or canola oil, and you want to completely cover your pan with it. If you can do a couple of inches, that would be great. That gives the okra more room to jump around, get brown for you. So we'll let this oil start getting warm.
So that's approximately what, a cup and a half?
That's probably at least a cup and a half, 2 cups of oil.
All right.
And you need that. You know, some people have little fryers they can use. If you're lucky enough to have one of those little fryers.
The little deep fryer.
But any kind of a deep pan with a heavy bottom is going to work good for you.
Okay. And what temperature do you have that on?
I have this now on medium-high.
Okay.
Usually, I stay between medium and medium-high because if the oil's too hot, it's going to burn the okra, of course.
Oh, certainly.
So you want to keep an eye on the heat.
Okay.
All right, what we're going to do to the okra before we put it in is, this is another little trick that I came across just here lately. We're going to take our okra, and we're going to dip it in buttermilk.
Oh, my.
We're going to dip our okra in this buttermilk. And
that's straight buttermilk.
Straight buttermilk. No, nothing else added. Then, for the
frying
part, you could use a flour mixture. That's what most people do. You could use. What I do is take like a cup of flour to a half a cup of cornmeal, and you can add seasonings to that: onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, whatever you want. Or if you're a little bit lazy or you push for time, you can buy seasoned flours in the grocery store. They're over there where the breadcrumbs and the spices are. They already have all the seasonings in them, and usually cornmeal. You pick one you like.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm dropping one to see how it's bubbling, Deborah. That means it's ready. So I'm going to take.
That means your oil is hot enough.
Yes. Which is usually about 350 to 375.
Okay.
If you have a kitchen thermometer.
Okay.
Also, a trick I've learned: if you have a wooden spoon, you can put the handle down into the oil, and if the bubbles come around it, the oil's ready.
It's ready. Oh, that's great. We just learned so many helpful hints in the kitchen from all of our different chefs.
So we're just going to continue to drop this in the buttermilk and then drop this in the oil. And this is another time when you want to be very patient. You're going to want to mess with it. The best thing to do is leave it alone, let it start browning. because if the oil's deep enough, it's going to swim around a little bit.
And what you want the oil to be hot enough to keep the flour mixture stuck to the okra.
Exactly. You've done this before. It gets a little messy. You just get you some paper towels and put beside you. It helps to use one hand.
Right. But you're very patient with this too, and that's very important. I want people to see that you just can't do this all at one time.
No, if you put a lot in, again, I've had that experience at the senior center. We put a whole lot in at one time, and all the breadcrumbs fell off. And the okra tastes delicious, but the breadcrumbs weren't on it. So
that's part of frying. You want that dough fried.
In that case, you know what? You don't give up. You know what we did? We took all the okra, we put it on a bread pan. We took some breadcrumbs and seasoned them up, put it on top of it, stuck it in the oven, let it brown off, and we served it anyway.
And your guests were none the wiser.
None the wiser.
And they enjoyed it.
Never act like you made a mistake. Say, I meant to do it this way.
Exactly. That's a true master in the kitchen.
Okay. So you can kind of move them every once in a while to see if they're browning on one side. Deborah, would you mind handing me a paper towel?
Oh, certainly. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this is basically it. You're going to keep an eye on the temperature because you don't want them to cook too fast. Because if they cook too fast, they're going to be burned on the outside and they're not going to be done on the inside. And if you seasoned your breading the correct way, you won't have to add any salt or anything.
Certainly.
If you think it needs salt, as soon as you take it out, you're going to sprinkle some salt on it while it's still hot.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is lay some paper towels down. We can lay them actually on this cutting board if you want to, Deborah.
Okay, let's do that. That's a good idea.
And then as we take, it's good to have something like this, or a spider is really good. The net. Have you seen one of them?
I have not.
It's rounded like a bowl, and it's a net, and you can scoop things out.
Certainly.
It's really good to have a spider.
Well, I know this takes about 20 minutes to cook. So we have right here what you cooked at home.
Yes.
So this is the finished product for what this will look like. And I think this is probably it. Let's continue cooking that. And, well, Cleveland County, thank you for watching. Janet, thank you so much for cooking for us.
Thank you so much for asking
me. You keep cooking away, because we're going to have this for lunch when we get through.
Wonderful.
So, again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next month's show. We'll be doing peaches. Thanks again.